Good afternoon. This is Bob Gorley with Bob Gorley's Truth Seekers, episode 104, and I have the young lady Pearl Minnick with me. Pearl, how are you today?
I'm just great. I love the word young.
So, where did you grow up?
Right here in the farm, up at the farmhouse where Bobby lives.
And how many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had two brothers, Tommy and Ralph, and one sister, Helen.
Helen. And where were you in order?
The last one. I was the baby.
You were the baby of the family.
The baby of the family.
So Helen was your sister. Well,
And Helen, didn't you know that?
well, I did, but I
You
forgot.
forgot.
You know,
That's right. Helen was my sister. And we all lived up there. Well, then my dad, Tommy, got married to Louise. And Dad built a house up the road here. They've torn it down. I moved down there, and then this was Helen and George's house, and Darryl and I moved in here when they built that house. So I never got very far.
How old were you when you got married?
When I got married, 19.
19.
1 year out of high school.
And how many children did you have?
We had 3 children. We had Susan, and she was born in 56, and Donnie was born in 57, and Jennifer was born in 72, I think. Something like that.
And Donnie had some health issues and he's passed away.
Yes, he went to the Navy out of high school and ended up on a boat going touring the whole world for 4 years and ended up in Oregon because he had met some guys and was playing in a band. PM was called the band, PM, Pearl Minnick. And then he was married briefly, divorced, and married Susie, and they have 3 boys. They're like 33 and 30 and 25 now in Oregon.
Did you ever get out to Oregon?
Yes, Darryl and I went out a couple times, but I didn't even go out for his service. It's too far, too hard. But he brought the kids and they came in a couple times, yeah.
When was the last time that your grandsons were here?
Oh, a long time ago. I can't remember. Years mean nothing. I can't remember. Long time. They were little.
When did you, do you remember who was president back when you were allowed to vote?
Do I remember what?
Who you were allowed to vote, like when you voted for a president? Do you remember who the first president in the United States that you voted for? Did you vote?
I should, but I voted, yeah. I don't know. Who
Did you vote for J.F. Kennedy?
Oh, yes, I did.
All right. And he was a very popular candidate.
That was in the 70s, wasn't it?
Well,
Earlier. I don't know,
maybe
I can't
60s. But, yeah, the years fly by. So how did you guys end up in the bus business?
Well, my dad got started. He drove first a horse and buggy, picked up kids and took them down to the Jack School, and then he got a little old bus, and then when Red Bank Valley came into works, that's how he started. A lot of the guys wanted to sell out, and he would buy all their buses. And we ended up with most of them. And then they ran, we had a PUC, which was unusual to have at that time. We transported, there was a Rolo plant in Hawthorne
Okay.
that burned down, and a lot of women worked up there. And they still wanted, they moved the plant then to Reynoldsville. So we ran 3 buses every day through Hawthorne and all around and picked up women and took them to work.
Up to Reynoldsville.
Went through Brookville and all around, yeah.
So before the buses, you say your dad used to take a horse and go around with a wagon and pick up kids and take them to school.
What?
And take them to school?
Yeah. Well, the school was just down here by Phillips's, where Pete Phillips lived. There were, on the opposite side of the road by the creek, there was this building there. I vaguely remember that building.
What was the first school you went to?
Porter.
Porter?
And it was fairly new when I went there.
Well,
I went there for 6 years, and then Went there for 11 years, and then Red Bank Valley began in 1951. That's when yeah. And I went 1 year in New Bethlehem in the old brick building by the Presbyterian Church.
Uh-huh. And then they, how long after that did they move into the new high school?
How long did they what?
Like when you went to the old high school in town,
Yeah.
and then eventually they built one up.
The new building, I don't know when that was. I don't remember. That was quite a thing. Because then they drew kids in from. We had more kids in school because they drew them in further, like Somerville and
Dayton.
partially, Dayton all around.
How-
What year did you graduate?
I graduated from high school in 1971.
71. Okay.
The best year ever for
I know.
high school.
Were you valedictorian?
Well, I wasn't even considered in that position.
I wasn't either. I didn't.
How did you get in the school bus business?
Well, as I said, then Dad, they saw the need. I suppose the state maybe come through and gave them money or something. I don't know. They just saw the need to get kids to school. Parents evidently weren't capable of getting them there. I don't remember any of that.
What was the most buses you ever had?
Oh, probably 19 or 20.
20 buses. And when did you start driving a bus?
I started driving a bus the year before Jenny was born. Probably 70, 71. Yeah.
So in how many years did you drive a bus?
37, I think.
37 years.
And my reputation is I only hit one kid all that time.
What inspired you to start driving a school bus?
It had something to do. It made my my dad very proud. He wasn't the type of man that would say, "That's a great job. I'm glad you did that." You know,
Uh-huh.
my dad was a man of few words. But when I got my school bus driver's license, he was tickled pink. He just thought that was great. I think I was the first woman driver at Red Bank.
Can you share a favorite memory from your time driving the school bus? Like maybe a student, or with a funny story, or did you ever hit a deer, or?
No, I never hit a deer, and I only hit one kid once, and he told me he deserved it. It was good. I liked all the kids. I really didn't have much trouble with them. I remember one time that I was subbing in Climax, and there were two Schaefer boys from Cottage Hill, Jeff and his brother, and they were fighting, just each other.
Brian and Jeff.
Yes, and I said, "You guys got to quit that." I was afraid they'd get hurt, fall down. So I pulled over along the road, opened the door, and I said, "Now get out, get in the field, and do your fighting there." Well, then they didn't want to fight, they wanted to do it in the bus.
Did you, living in western Pennsylvania, did you ever get stuck in a snowstorm?
In a bus?
In the
I'm
bus.
sure I did. I can't remember.
Alrighty. You've lived in this area for your whole life.
Yes.
Uh,
I was born in 1933.
what's some local knowledge about this area's history? Like, I see you wrote some books.
No, I just wrote a little one. That's Ralph's book.
Yeah, well,
Mine's that little, you've got your thing on,
Ralph's
That-
True
that has
Stories.
A lot of horse and buggy days, and it's good. And Helen's is good too. She talks about cooking.
And Sister Helen
Mhm.
and her Merry Christmas from the Helen Etter family. So,
Didn't your dad ever write a book or any memories or anything?
oh, brief little things, but nothing, no full-time book or anything like that. Were you known for having a red convertible?
Oh, I love that red convertible. Oh, let's see, what year was it? 76 red Pontiac, yes.
So you got red Pontiac.
I had a red Pontiac with a white top.
Uh, what made you choose that car?
I don't know. I just saw it sitting in it at Boyer's. I think it was Boyer's garage at that time. I said, "Girl, I'd like to have that car," and we got it.
What was one of your favorite memories with that car?
I was too old. I don't know. I can't. I just like driving it.
Alrighty. You've always kept your yard looking really nice. How did you become a
It's just important to me to come home from somewhere and drive past your house and see pretty flowers and a pretty yard. That's very important to me.
what was your secret to keeping it so green and lush?
Nothing. It just grows. Rainfall. It's wet now.
Did you have any favorite plants or flowers that you like to keep
I love
growing?
roses and lilacs.
Lilacs and roses are your favorites.
There they are.
You raised two daughters.
I did.
Were they easier to raise than your son?
All kids are difficult, aren't they?
That's why we call that the blur years.
I remember arguing with Donnie an awful lot, and I can't remember what now. It really wasn't important.
What values did you try to teach him? What did you try to teach him? Like always tell the
Be
truth.
decent people, and be kind and helpful, and I think I did.
Well,
I think they turned out real well.
that was the attempt. And
My attempt to make the world better.
Losing your son must have been incredibly difficult.
It still is. Every day I think about it. Wasn't right, but
So you keep his memory alive by.
thinking about him. And I call his wife, and she calls me, and we try to keep in touch.
Oh, good. Did she ever get remarried?
Nope. No, not
Oh.
interested. No.
Hey, your age,
Me.
you've seen a lot of changes in the world during that time.
I guess I just accept them.
So, do you remember not having telephones?
No, we had the crank on the wall.
A crank
Two
telephone,
shorts and one long. Everybody had a signal.
and so you knew which one was your
Yes,
call.
but you listened to everybody. It didn't matter. It was a party line. It was
So
okay.
that was part of the entertainment.
Yeah, that was our entertainment. We didn't have TV.
What was a typical day for you when you were running the bus business? Like, what time did you get up in the morning? When did you get back?
I only got up 15 minutes before I had to leave. I'm not an early person, and run my route and come home and then do whatever I felt like doing. But I had to be back in time at 2:30 to take the little sweethearts home again. And I'd go to town. I'd go to Clarion. I didn't do too much. I washed buses though. I did do that. We had a car wash out in the garage, and I must have did something wrong with me. I liked doing that.
No, that was
And then Greg Brocker took over. I think he was 16 when he'd ride his motorbike over.
and he would wash your car.
He'd wash buses.
The
And
buses.
then he comes to visit me quite often. And he said, I remember one day we had a parking lot in town with a milk plant.
Okay.
Parked buses. And he said, I remember one day Ralph said, go ahead and take that bus in town. He was just 16. He said, oh, I felt like so powerful going down there in that bus. And John Kundick used to do that too, Moby.
Movie.
He drove bus for us when he went to school in Clarion.
Well,
You didn't know that, did you?
I did not know that, and I just talked to Moby on Saturday.
I haven't seen him forever.
I bumped into him, and I guess he's working for Hager a little bit now.
Oh, is he? I don't know.
So
Well, he taught school.
he taught school. He's done a lot of different things.
Yeah, he's busy. Okay.
Looking back, what's one moment or achievement in your life that fills you with this You know, what were you glad that you did?
Well, I think I get a pretty good job with my family. In the church, we were very involved in the Leatherwood Church, and I did the choir over there for like 30-some years. You don't remember that?
No, I do not.
And Susan Lloyd you remember Susan Lloyd? She played the piano. We worked together. Yeah, I had the choir over there.
Oh,
That was fun.
great. Is there any advice you have for the youth of today?
Keep your nose clean, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what's out there. I don't know what they're into.
Keep out of trouble.
Yeah, go to school, get in a good you need a good job to survive.
Is there the history of this area? Do you have anything you can, like, everybody around here grew up working hard and trying to make a living, and
Well, you just knew everybody.
yes,
Now I couldn't tell you who lives anywhere anymore. And it was great. You all went to the same church, usually. That's what kept it together. And we lived over at David Delp's. He had an apartment above that garage.
yes,
It's been torn down. And that was fun. David was
really
quite a
good
guy. Yeah. And Ruth, she taught school for years and years.
Yes,
Did you have her?
I had her for 4th grade, and that was the first time I ever passed out. Was in her class.
Because of her, or just
No, it was getting towards lunchtime when I was
you were
hungry, and she started to talk about eyes, and that kind of made me,
You passed out.
yeah, I just.
Did they call your mother and call the ambulance?
Oh no ambulance, no nothing. I came back alive
You just
again.
got up. Now they'd make a big deal out of that, wouldn't they?
Yes, they would.
She was a
Oh,
good teacher. Dawn, our kids had her.
so I was just checking to see, and I guess this is your book that you made up one
It's
time.
It's just thoughts. It's not a book, really.
So I'm going to
You can take them home and look at them.
I'm going to look over these 3 books because I
Right.
surely appreciate you sharing some of your life with me. And if there's anything else you'd like to discuss, I am
Can't
here.
remember.
So thank you, Pearl, for this interview.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure to have you in my house today, Robert.
Well, thank you.